Good afternoon, dear colleagues and dear guests. Today is the 1st of March 2021. It's 12 o'clock. We're beginning the session for the defense of the dissertation by Sergey Nikonov. The topic of the dissertation is Nonpolitics in the communication process of foreign policy activities of states. Scientific specialty is 10.01.10 Journalism. Under the order issued by St. Petersburg State University, I, Professor Dmitry Gavro, Professor of St. Petersburg State University, have been appointed the chairperson of this dissertation board. The members of the dissertation board have been appointed by the same order. They are Professor Igor Blakhin, Doctor of Political Sciences, Professor of St. Petersburg State University; Elena Bykova, Doctor of Philological Sciences, Professor of St. Petersburg State University; Natalia Tsvetova, Doctor of Philological Sciences, Professor of St. Petersburg State University; Grigory Akopov, Doctor of Political Sciences, Moscow State Technical University of Some members are attending this session via video conferencing system. They are Tatiana Kaminskaya, Professor of Novgorod State University. Can you hear us? Yes, I can hear you. Professor Akopov, Doctor of Political Sciences, Professor of Moscow State Technical University of Civil Aviation. Can you hear us? Yes, I can hear you. Professor Sergey Aleynikov, Doctor of Political Sciences, Professor of Pridnestrovian State University, Moldova. Can you hear us and can you see us? Please switch on your microphone. Yes, I can hear you and I can see you. I'm glad to see you. The academic degree seeker, Sergey Nikonov, is also here. I would like to ask the members of the Dissertation Council who are attending the session by video conferencing to switch off their microphone. Please make sure that your microphone is switched on when you are given the floor. The session of the Dissertation Council is being recorded and broadcast on the St. Petersburg State University website and is being interpreted into English. You can ask your questions and make comments using the email address that you can find on the official website. The technical personnel will refer the questions to me and I will read them out during the discussion. The questions are supposed to be relevant to the contents of the dissertation. The authors of the questions are to write down their name, position and workplace. The questions that are not relevant to the dissertation will not be read out. Under the relevant order issued by St. Petersburg State University, on the procedure of granting academic degrees at St. Petersburg State University, the session of the Dissertation Council is duly constituted, provided at least 2/3 of the members of the Dissertation Council are present. The total number is not to be fewer than 4 people. The Dissertation Council consists of 8 people, all of which are present. 3 members are participating in this session via video conferencing. Therefore, we have a quorum. The agenda is as follows. Number 1, the chairman's presentation about the documents submitted by the academic degree seeker and their conformity with the requirements. About 5 minutes. The A presentation given by the academic degree seeker to provide an overview and findings of the research, about 20 minutes. Number 3, questions to the academic degree seeker about the presentation, no more than 2 minutes per question. Next, answers to the question. Reviews of the dissertation. The council members will be taking the floor in turns, about 10 minutes for each person. The chairman's review of the dissertation, about 10 minutes. Comments about the reviews and answers to the questions, no more than 20 minutes. Open discussion. The floor will be given to the members of the audience. They can give a brief account of their ideas and/or ask questions about the research, no more than 2 minutes per person. It is necessary to fill in the registration form and give their full name before the talk. Replies to the questions posted on the official website. Long questions will not be read out. I would like to point your attention to this. Presentation of the research supervisor. Deliberations of the members of the Dissertation Council before an open balloting on conferring and non-conferring the academic degree. The discussion is not broadcast. Next, open balloting, vote counting, and recording the results in the protocol. Making a decision on whether to confer or not the academic degree. Closing speech, no more than 2 minutes. Dear colleagues, do you have any questions or objections about the agenda? No questions or objections. So, before proceeding with the agenda, I would like to ask you to switch off your mobile phones. Those who are attending this session via video conferencing system, please do not switch off your mobile phones so that we can contact you if necessary. So, the dissertation by Sergey Nikonov is submitted in conformity for the degree of the Doctor of Political Science, Scientific Specialty 100110 Journalism. The topic of the dissertation is Nonpolitics in the Communication Process of Foreign Policy Activities of States. The dissertation was approved for the defense by the order of the Academic Secretary of St. Petersburg State University, issued on the 9th of November 2020. The dissertation was completed in St. Petersburg State University. The academic degree seeker has published 16 research papers. 10 of them have been published in peer-reviewed journals recommended by the Ministry of Education and Science. 6 papers have been published in Web of Science and Scopus journals. The degree seeker has submitted a full set of documents to the academic secretary of St. Petersburg State University. The documents are in compliance with Section 3 of the order. The documents are stored in the dossiers. The representative of the Department for Dissertation Council Management has the copies of the documents. Before giving the floor to the degree seeker, I would like to ask the members of the Dissertation Council if they have any questions, or if it is necessary for me to read out the list of documents submitted to the Academic Secretary of St. Petersburg State University. You don't have any questions? And you don't want me to read out the list of documents? I give the floor to Professor Sergey Nikonov. You have 20 minutes. Good afternoon, dear colleagues, dear members of the Dissertation Council, dear guests. The topic of my dissertation is Nonpolitics in the Communication Process of Foreign Policy Activities of States. The dissertation is submitted in conformity for the requirement for the degree of the Doctor of Political Science, Scientific Specialty 10.01.10 Journalism. I believe that the topic is quite relevant, and to prove this, I would like to provide the following rationale. In July 2020, the monograph Nonpolitics and Mass Media Internet was published by myself and my co-author Helena Kalugina. Our colleagues from the United States, namely Rand Corporation, published a report which was entitled "Whose History Will Win?" This corporation is part of the intelligence community, and they provide reports outlining the future policies to be implemented by the United States. The report describes the new approach to government and to governance. Namely, this approach involves the concept of Nonpolitics. As you see, Nonpolitics is interesting to experts from the United States, Russia, and China. At the end of 2020, Professor Jose Antonio Roman Brungoli published a paper, Noopolitics and Political Action in Maurizio Lazaretto, Contributions for a Political Collective Psychology in Control Society. The paper was published after I had submitted my dissertation to the Academic Council. I was unable to draw upon this paper. However, I would like to stress his contribution to this topic. A few words about prior research of the topic. The research in this area goes as far back as Platon's and Niccolo Machiavelli papers. We also drew upon the guidelines and principles developed in the theory of journalism. Some of the members of the Dissertation Council asked me about the fact that I did not draw upon different papers that are relevant to the topic. This is right, but my dissertation focuses on journalism. Therefore, I did not draw upon on all the papers within the scope of the topic. Moreover, Western colleagues usually publish their papers which are related both to the theory of journalism and the theory of media, and the situation in Russia is a little bit different. So, I believe that modern society is becoming more and more politics-oriented, and we can use different approaches to describe the situation. One of them is the so-called virtual reality. We can also draw upon different other ideas, such as ethnological ideas, geopolitical strategies, the idea of national security. These concepts have been relevant for the past decades. I would like to say that political strategies and political analysis should be studied in cooperation. Moreover, Professor Bykova and Professor Gavra study applied sociology, and their approach is also relevant to my topic. So I'm studying the phenomenon of Noopolitics in my dissertation. I also focus on the concept of Noopolitics and its implementation in the information strategy of different states. The goal of the dissertation is to provide a framework for Noopolitics and set up the tasks for the foreign policy strategies. The hypothesis of my studies is as follows. Any state can be involved in the political processes without overtly saying so. They can also use the concept of Noopolitics in their policies. I drew upon the following materials in order to write my dissertation. Namely, I drew upon different mass media resources such as Euronews, the Voice of America, Deutsche Welle, and so on. The papers I studied focused on the description of the Syrian crisis, the coverage of the events in Syria can be described as informational rivalry. I also made a number of presentations and was also involved in the grant research, namely the grant of St. Petersburg State University Nonpolitics as an information strategy and the research grant of St. Petersburg State University, possibilities of use of informational system for regulating information flows. I also have made a number of presentations in different countries and in different international conferences. In the first chapter, I draw upon the classical papers dealing with the globalization issues, sovereignty issues, and the mass media in governance. I also define such terms as Nonpolitics, political defamation, and different other relevant ideas. I also focus on the role of mass media in control. The second chapter deals with on the role of media in the politics and policies of different states, and also focus on how different events are covered in the mass media. The third chapter deals with the empirical study that I conducted. Namely, I focused on Euronews and the mass media of Germany as a representative of the developed European democracy. I focused on the linguistic methods of developing and of conveying ideological modality in titles. I believe that the concept of Nonpolitics begins when official documents are approved, such as different doctrines, laws, orders, formal statements, and so on. I would like to highlight that in foreign papers, state authorities are advised to use the research done in this area. There is also secondary evidence that shows that states are ready to pursue the policy of Nonpolitics. Public officials can focus on informational rivalry. Hypothesis is as follows. I would like to say that it is as follows. Any subject of international relations can get political dividends from the work and from their policies. However, only countries that have sovereignty can pursue this policy. These states are as follows: Russia, the United States, China, and Iran. I would like to tell you a few words about the statements to be defended. Number one, no politics is a concept of informational strategy to manipulate international processes through the mass media. It involves either positive or negative attitude to foreign policy in order to create either a positive or a negative image. Number two, no politics is contrasted against real politics. It might be interested for politicians and those who study the media. I would like to highlight that it is contrasted the way global and national are contrasted, the way ideology as a system of ideas and as an instrument are contrasted. Politics as real action and politics as governance are also contrasted. Real politics will exist until the political actions of the actors can be forecasted and predicted. However, during the havoc in international relations, no politics will be more relevant for the academic community and for practical application. Globalization makes the idea of national sovereignty more vague. Foreign policy is part and parcel and an additional thing to the domestic policy process. Number four, political defamation can be used. Political defamation is defined as the dissemination of true facts in order to spoil somebody's image. Political actors are beginning to understand that they must teach those who get the information how to perceive the information. Therefore, social security is important in this area. The major concepts are regarded to journalism, politology, philology, and different other sciences. The use and transmission of information allow us to provide for the function of the society and to provide the stability of the governance. To this end, different automated digital systems are created. These systems allow us to work with data. However, these technological data have some limitations. The idea here is to collect information and to transmit information via the internet almost in real time. Informational security can be defined as follows. The information security of the Russian Federation is the security of its national interests in the information sphere. It is defined by the balance of interests of an individual, society, and the state, and also by the possibility to create an approach to the Russian Federation and the events that occur there. Internet mass media are different from other types of mass media in that they have a transnational character. Since users from different countries can get access to the information and can post the information that they need. It is characterized by the following characteristics: hypertextuality, multimedia, and interaction. Therefore, internet mass media can become instrumental for influencing political awareness of the public. Media politics is a virtual reality now. Mediatization of politics is also relevant here. This process includes a set of different events that influence the political image of a specific system. The agenda that we see on the internet can have an influence on how we perceive the policies pursued by other countries, and this is reflected in the linguistic means such as metaphors and stylistic figures. Unlike our American colleagues, I do not believe that Nonpolitics is a conception. I believe that it's a concept. There's only one dissertation written in the Russian language where a similar approach is used. The author of the dissertation, Elena Kalugina, highlights that I was the one who came up with this definition. This dissertation, therefore, is relevant now. However, I would like to focus on some differences here. I would like to use the term concept in my research. I did not describe the genesis of the noosphere concept, and I did it on purpose. The term Nonpolitics is formally related to the term of noosphere. I focus on the contemporary aspect, not on the history of the genesis. I would like to say that in 2010, Professor Pyotr Nikonov proposed the idea for this research. I realized that this is an interdisciplinary research which focuses on political science, military science and philological science. Governance strategies usually include hard power. They developed the so-called realpolitik in order to express their hard power as a means of state governance. Hard power means playing the muscles. However, soft power became more relevant. Soft power is as important as hard power nowadays, and the idea of the relevance of soft power emerged in 1990s after the breakup of the Soviet Union. It was this event that allowed us to come up to this approach. At first, the internet and digital technology was poorly regulated, and therefore mass media became the new power and soft power became more relevant. Then we see the era of rivalry between the soft power and hard power, soft power being the good one and hard power being the aggressive one. However, when we used soft power too much, it became obvious that soft power is not that attractive. Soft power can be used for different purposes and in different ways. For example, soft power can be used in order to make lies, to avoid somebody, to embarrass somebody, and so on. A lot of papers have been published about the soft power. Therefore, I did not focus on soft power in my dissertation. I would like to get back to the report published by RAND. American colleagues say that Russia and China study the phenomenon of Nonpolitics. And here I quote, "Soft power allows us to attract and not to control. Therefore, I believe that the concept of no politics in our dissertation will be in demand of the Russian public authorities. Otherwise, our colleagues in other countries will be able to get a backlash. American experts believe in the following idea. New leaders in Washington came back to hard power and real politics, and this is a warning sign. We must begin to understand that it is essential to revise the state government and the state governance. It means that we need a shift from realpolitik to Noopolitics. So on the one hand, there's a philosophical aspect here. Here I'm referring to research by Bakhtin, Nietzsche, Bergson and Leibson and Gilles Deleuze. There's an umbrella term here, Foucauldian. There's another aspect here, which is a more practical one, the application of the critical thought, which involves different ideas, including philosophy, sociology, economics, politics, semiotics, and so on. In my dissertation, I focus on the following idea. I believe my concept of no politics is different from the no politics proposed by the American scientists. My approach will allow to build bridges between the ideas of Foucault and Deleuze, and the ideas of Gabriel Tarde. In my dissertation, I try to assess the value of no politics and to describe how this can be used for control and for collective political actions. The novelty of the dissertation is as follows. This is the first time that the framework of no politics have been described using different sciences and using an interdisciplinary approach. I also used the methods of influence on society which are described in research papers. So no politics is a specific strategy in foreign policy. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
По работе и по докладу, которые требуют ответа непосредственно в заседании, их задать.
You are most welcome with your questions. Those who are attending the session of our video conferencing system, please don't forget to switch on the microphone. Are there any questions? I will start with the questions. I was thinking I would be the last to ask the questions, but I believe I will have to start. I have two questions. I would like to ask you about the empirical base. How did you focus on the Syrian crisis? How did you collect the material? Dear colleagues, I have provided handout materials to each members of the Dissertation Council. I thought that this question might arise, so if you would have a look at the handout, then on page 232, this is my monograph. There you will see about a list which contains 200 items, and they focus on the Syrian issue. I focused on the Syrian crisis. Therefore, I draw upon on the material that describe Syrian crisis. So I collected the material which is relevant to the Syrian crisis. My second question. I would like to ask you about the political defamation. Who are the subjects of political defamation? What actors can be the subject of political defamation? States or political actors of other levels? Thank you for your question. I believe that sovereignty states are the main actors here. The research outcomes of the dissertation show the following idea. The actors that are able to transfer information are going to be dominant. And at present, I believe that sovereignty states have this power. So these are the main actors here. The world governance today is being revised right now. However, some states are still stable and their position is not being revised, namely Russia, the United States, China, and so on. So these are the actors that can develop this concept. Can we include different military blocs here? Well, if they are able to come to the consensus here, but they will have to unite against somebody, and this is a big question. Are there any other questions? You provide a model. Could you please specify the elements of the model that you provide in your dissertation? Thank you very much for your question. And I have to cite our foreign colleagues. Before we provide a model, we have to recognize the concept. I created a model of manipulation here, and out of different manipulation models, it is necessary to choose one. Namely, the one who uses the model should be covert. So this model is yet to be developed, since the goal of the dissertation is to come up with the idea of Nonpolitics. It was necessary to realize where the phenomenon of Nonpolitics exists, and creating a model is a second stage. Maybe it is not necessary to develop such models. We might use the existing models of manipulative technologies. Then I would like to come up with the following suggestions. Our American colleagues include manipulation aspect in their models. Thank you very much for your question. Yes, you are quite right. After reading my American counterparts, I realized that the idea is Nonpolitics is a new era, and you can manipulate others into letting you become the dominant force and the driving force. Therefore, the manipulation aspect and manipulation technology are relevant in their models. Are there any other questions? At the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned that state information policies could be changed. what are the drawbacks of the existing one and how can it be changed? The question is quite big, so I would like you to be quite brief. So what are the changes that are possible? In my dissertation, I proposed only one change, and I hope the government authorities will listen to my ideas, and after that, it will be possible to come up with some other ideas here. Is it necessary to talk about manipulation right now? I would like to say that society does not like the idea of manipulation, although the academic community is not against this idea. There are no questions. Now I would like to move on to the next item on the agenda. Two external reviews have been sent to the Dissertation Council. I would like to read out the external reviews. How would you like to answer the questions after each review? Or would you like to provide your answers to all the reviews? I have read the reviews posted on the website, and I would like to answer all the review of the questions at once, since some questions are similar. Please take a seat. It might take some time, so I will be reading out the external reviews. Two external reviews have been sent. Doctor of Philological Science, Professor of the China People's University, Professor Zhao Yunho, or rather Comrade Zhao Yunho. I am reading out the review. I believe that the topic of the dissertation is relevant and is becoming more relevant over the years. Nonpolitics was first described in the Chinese language, and an important Russian-Chinese symposium took place in Beijing, where Nonpolitics was also discussed. So Nonpolitics is described as a manipulation impact. The degree seeker gave his presentation at a second Central Asian Communication Forum in 2015, and this is where I learned about his ideas. So Professor Nikonov's dissertation focuses on the idea that Nonpolitics appeared after the breakup of the Soviet Union. And I would like to say that Professor Nikonov's research is in line with the research of Professor Lisin from the second Beijing University. Professor Nikonov highlights that political communication is a set of relations, including media texts and different other ideas to provide arguments. I would like to stress that China is one of the sovereign states that can govern the new world order and the new world governance. Therefore, I believe that you could have drawn upon some works by Chinese scientists. On page 76, you mention the scientists and the science. I believe that you should have focused more on the ideas of Jigang Ren. I believe it would have been relevant for the dissertation. In general, the dissertation of Nikonov complies with the major requirements set forth in the relevant order, and it complies with the requirements for the scientific specialty 10.01.10 journalism. It complies with the relevant order issued by St. Petersburg State University, and Professor Sergey Nikonov can be awarded the academic degree of the Doctor of Political Science, specialty 10.01.10 journalism. Another review has been sent to the Academic Council. The review was written by a colleague from the West, from the Free University of Berlin, Anna Litvinenko. I believe the topic of the dissertation is relevant. Today, it is necessary to provide specific frameworks that govern international communication. For example, it is necessary to revise media effects that have effect on public opinion. Today, I believe that the theory of gatekeeping is also important because the information flow is becoming more and more complex. Therefore, the dissertation is relevant since he focuses on Nonpolitics and provides a new theoretical framework which would help in analyzing modern international communication. The author of the dissertation draws upon lots of resources. The dissertation is well written and logically structured. However, I have some questions to the degree seeker. Number one, you analyze the genesis of the Nonpolitics concept, focusing on Russian and American scientists. I believe you should have drawn upon the ideas by Gilles Deleuze and Michel Foucault. I would like you to focus on the relationship between Nonpolitics and propaganda. Number three, the idea that international information policy can be pursued only by states that can be described as sovereign states. However, sovereignty is a more comprehensive and more complex concept now. I believe that you should have given a definition of the real sovereignty as you understand it. However, the questions do not change the overall positive assessment of the dissertation. The dissertation of Sergey Nikonov complies with the major requirements set forth in Order 6821/1 as the 1st of September 2016, and Sergey Nikonov can be awarded the academic degree of the Doctor of Political Sciences, Scientific Specialty 10.01.10. Dear members of the Dissertation Council, these are the external reviews. Now, I will be asking you to read out your reviews. All the reviews are published on the website. Therefore, I suggest that you focus on the comments and on your questions. Do you have any objections? No? will go in alphabetic order. I give the floor to Professor Akopov. Thank you very much. I would like to thank you for giving me this possibility to become the member of the dissertation board. The dissertation was really interesting. I was really impressed by it. It has lots of positive aspects, and I wrote about them in my reviews, but I will focus on questions and on some critical remarks. The critical remarks do not change the overall assessment, the overall positive assessment of the dissertation. But still I would like to discuss some debatable issues. In your dissertation, you give an assessment of the globalization, but I believe that you do not provide enough rationale here. The concept of Nonpolitics is described in different bits of the dissertation. I believe that you should have collected all the ideas in one paragraph. Your statements to be defended are quite wordy, I believe, so I think they should be reworded. I would like you to change the wording of these statements to be defended, devoted to globalization, political defamation, and information security. The research is written in a very creative way. However, sometimes you do not stick to the topic. For example, you give some historical background, which I believe is not quite relevant. In paragraph 1.4, you also do not stick to the topic sometimes. The paragraph describes the military aspect. However, you highlight that the aim of State-centric war is to get information dominance over the rivalry. I would like to say that the dissertation has some technical drawbacks. For example, the style of different chapters is different. Sometimes you use very concise, very short sentences, and sometimes you describe some ideas very broadly. And I also think that you should have provided conclusions after every chapter. I would like to highlight again that my questions and critical remarks do not change the overall positive assessment of the dissertation. This dissertation is an independent research work. You have attained the goal of the dissertation. The dissertation complies with the existing rules. The reference list contains more than 500 items, more than 150 foreign references. I believe that the dissertation is within the scope of the scientific specialty 10.01.10, journalism. I believe that the dissertation is characterized by a relevant and deep analysis. You also use the right methods and theories. So overall, the dissertation complies with the major requirements set forth in order 6821/1 as of the 1st of September 2016, and Professor Sergey Nikonov can be awarded the academic degree of the Doctor of Political Sciences, Scientific Specialty 10-01-10 Journalism. Thank you very much. Now I give the floor to Professor Bykova. Dear colleagues, I will focus only on questions and critical remarks. Since the validity and the credibility of the dissertation is obvious, you have drawn upon lots of materials and empirical base. The academic degree seeker was collecting the material for the dissertation for over 10 years, and it allowed him to provide his own critical analysis of the events described in different mass media. Moreover, the dissertation also has an element of novelty. It characterizes the mediatization of political processes, and it also provides a detailed explanation of the term defamation. I would like to say that you have made presentations at very important conferences, including international conferences, and you have published papers in high-ranking scientific journals. Therefore, the research is credible, is valid. So the overall assessment is positive. However, there are some debatable issues which I would like to discuss. I believe that the statements to be defended sometimes are quite vague. And I would like to agree with the previous member of the dissertation board in that sometimes the statements to be defended contain your personal ideas and your subjective view. Sometimes you include your own assessment in the formulation of the statements to be defended. I believe that you also sometimes quite critical. For example, some of your ideas which are presented are quite debatable, namely the idea that since 1990s Russia has been the platform for using technologies of manipulation by public opinion in the mass media, and you provide reference only to one work here, and this is your own paper. I believe that in order to provide relevance and to provide validity of these ideas, you should have provided more rationale and more references here. As a result, sometimes the text reads as a newspaper text, not as a scientific text. Moreover, I believe that you describe the global governance in a very vague way. I think you should have provided more scientific, more concise explanation here. One of the tasks of the dissertation is the institutionalization of Nonpolitics. In the text, Nonpolitics is described as form of political governance, as a network mechanism of civil society. Nonpolitics as a public attitude to information. Nonpolitics is a Trojan horse in real politics. So what is the working definition of the Nonpolitics? It is still unclear, and the category is not clear. Is Nonpolitics a strategy, a paradigm, or something else? Number 4. I would like to ask you about such ideas as the new media and internet mass media, because I believe that there is some logical discrepancy with the statement where you claim that at first it is necessary to make a difference between the internet and other web resources. You write about it on page 91. One of the paragraphs is devoted to hermeneutics in international relations. I believe that hermeneutics is the interpretation of fiction text and religious texts. So I believe that the use of the term hermeneutics here is not quite correct. You write about the conceptual framework of Nonpolitics and its practical implementation under the conditions of globalization and the new world order. I believe that you should have focused more on this idea, and you should have provided more explanations here. You write about the mediation and mediocrity in the internet environment, but you do not provide enough in explanation here. Probably you should explain why you chose those particular mass media, such as Russia Today, The Voice of America, and Deutsche Welle and Euronews. What were the inclusion criteria? And why did you choose to describe the Syrian crisis? As a philologist, I would like to comment on the content analysis. Content analysis includes qualitative and quantitative analysis of the linguistic units. What linguistic units did you study? Why did you come to the conclusion that the set of linguistic units used in different media texts do not differ significantly? I believe that this issue is important here. You prove the phenomenon of Nonpolitics using specific texts and using the lexical units. This allows you to describe the frame and the prototypical situation that the reader might recognize. So I would like the degree seeker to provide comments about these questions. However, all the critical remarks are debatable, and I believe that the dissertation by Sergey Nikonov complies with the major requirements set forth in Order 6821/1 as of the 1st of September 2016, and Sergey Nikonov can be awarded the academic degree of the Doctor of Political Science, Scientific Speciality 10/01/10 Journalism. Thank you very much. The floor is given to Professor Kaminskaya. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to make a presentation here and to read out my report. I will not be reading the first part of my report. In my report I write about the relevance, about the novelty and so on. But I would like to say that I give an overall positive assessment of the dissertation. However, I have some critical remarks which prove that the topic of the dissertation is complex on the one hand and really relevant on the other hand. There is some discrepancy in the dissertation. Professor Nikonov says that according to the content analysis, lexical units in different texts describing the Syrian conflict do not differ a lot. In the text we can find different stylistic devices, however they are not important markers. And he also writes about the metaphors used in different texts, and these metaphors turn out to be different. For example, the Voice of America focuses on the frames of fire, for example, and different others. Sometimes you do not give an explanation of the ideas, or rather you do not give a detailed explanation of what you are writing about. You also write about the use of metaphors for media frames. You write about the relevance of metaphors and of their connotations and assessments. So what forms media frames? Metaphors or connotated words? Sometimes your work lacks homogeneity when you study different texts. There are also some technical drawbacks in the dissertation. For example, you provide one citation on several pages. So I have a question about the content analysis. But I believe that they do not provide any. The critical remarks are quite debatable, and they do not change the overall positive assessment of the dissertation. The dissertation is well structured and logical, and I believe that Professor Nikonov was able to provide a theoretical framework for different scientific approaches. It proves that his dissertation is systemic, and it was written very industriously. So I would like to say that the dissertation by Sergey Nikonov complies with the scientific speciality 10.01.10 journalism, and his dissertation Nonpolitics in the communication process of foreign policy activities of states complies with the major requirements set forth in order on the procedure of granting academic degrees at St. Petersburg State University, and Professor Sergey Nikonov can be awarded the academic degree of the Doctor of Political Sciences. The dissertation is compliant with Section 11 of the above-mentioned order. Now I give the floor to Professor Shevchenko. Dear colleagues, Russian political science and the mass media of political science depend on the Western school of thought a lot. Therefore, the Russian political science has not been interested in the communication aspect. The concept of Nonpolitics was mostly developed in other areas of research. Therefore, I believe that the dissertation submitted in conformity for the degree of the Doctor of Political Science introduces the cognitive aspect into the scientific discourse. Moreover, the dissertation shows the role of the mass media. The degree seeker writes about the use of universal mass media in Noopolitics in order to provide balanced international relations. The dissertation deals with the relationship between the objective information and subjective intentions of international political actors. Therefore, the dissertation is quite relevant. Nonpolitics is described as part of different aspects. I believe that the research opens up new possibilities for research because Nonpolitics is described in the dissertation as a concept. You draw upon the traditional approaches. However, you also provide some new and original ideas, namely the narrative technology, where frames play an instrumental role in order to analyze the effects on the audience on the target audience. I believe you should have used the methods which are commonly used in journalism. I also believe that the author tries to provide the explanation of the dual character of Nonpolitics. Since Nonpolitics can be used as an instrument, and on the other hand, Nonpolitics is sometimes used for aggressive strategies. Therefore, the approach that you apply in the dissertation allows you to provide a theoretical framework for the Nonpolitics, define its role, its method, its logics in international and communication rivalry. I will skip the other positive aspects, but I wanted to highlight the one that I have just read out. I believe that the work is really a worthy one. On page 39, 42 and others, you write about criteria. I believe that there is some discrepancy with your idea and with your concept of Nonpolitics. Or probably you should have formulated it in another way, because here you follow in the steps of the nuclear deterrent. In other words, you use this idea to provide a positive or a negative image. I believe that the military aspect is not relevant here, and this goes in contrast with the American point of view. I believe that this idea underestimates its destructive potential. I would like also to say that I have some comments about how you formulated the goal of the dissertation. I believe that you have already answered the question partially. However, the list of objectives do not include information about the methods and about the creation of different methods. You write about the changes of the doctrine of information security of Russia. Now, the strategy of Russian security is being revised.
На наш взгляд, вот кафедра госуправления национальной политики, национальной безопасности.
I believe that this will have a big effect, a big impact on what you're writing about. Now a few words about the statements to be defended. Statement 1, 2, and 8 are valid and are important for political science. However, this statement number 4 describes political defamation. It introduces some new ideas into the scientific discourse. And I believe that this idea that you're writing about is not quite scientific. Therefore, I believe that this statement should be reworded. I don't think that it can be used in political science. Statement number 6. You write about information security. However, I don't believe that this statement is not valuable. The other statements to be defended should be elaborated upon. I don't think that they contain any novel ideas. However, I would like to say that my critical remarks do not change the overall positive assessment. This is an independent research work which contains the theoretical framework and empirical results. The degree seeker has made presentations at a number of international conferences. And I believe that you have written a large number of works within the scope of your research. So, the dissertation by Sergey Nikonov, Noopolitics in the Communication Process of Foreign Policy Activities of States, complies with the major requirements set forth in Order 6821/1 of the 1st of September. And Professor Sergey Nikonov can be awarded the academic degree of the Doctor of Political Sciences. Thank you very much. I give the floor to Professor Blachin. Thank you very much, dear members of the Dissertation Board. I believe that the dissertation is relevant. However, I would like to highlight that Nonpolitics is becoming more and more depersonalized. The dissertation is also novel. The novelty includes the phenomenon of Nonpolitics, the identification of specific linguistic units, The degree seeker describes the Syrian crisis because it was one of the turning points which of history. It shows the shift from globalization world to multipolar world. The degree seeker also describes Nonpolitics as part of media sphere, including new media, and he also reconstructs the model of Nonpolitics. I believe that the dissertation is very well written and it is logical, and he includes different methods, including political methods, philosophical methods, and linguistic methods. The degree seeker also focuses on very complex issues in his dissertation, namely the issue of the subject. Modern mass media focuses on anti-subject aspects, and I believe this is instrumental for his dissertation. You have also identified a number of reactions to different mass media texts, including reactions of specific individuals and strategies of international actors. And I believe that this is relevant when we describe the Middle East. So however, I believe that another aspect is also important in the dissertation. The degree seeker includes the philosophical aspect in the dissertation. I believe that it's important since we are talking about different cultures and different international actors. In the dissertation, you also describe Noopolitics as a concept. You provide a typological model of the Noopolitics, and you also identify linguistic features of texts that are relevant for the research. And the main idea here is to interpret the potential of Nonpolitics in information strategy. The strategic analysis allows you to come to the conclusion that Nonpolitics is a way to avoid conflict, and here we can draw upon the the theory of evolution. Moreover, Nonpolitics is important for adversarial relationships, and it is an alternative to other political actions. And I believe you should have focused more on the alternative aspect of the political action here. I would like to praise the author for his style, and the author of the dissertation should be given credit for his for different ideas presented in the dissertation, and it should be given for his expertise, should be given credit for his expertise as well. However, I would like to say that you mix different works, different research papers in your dissertation. You do not provide any ranking of these research papers. However, on the positive side, Professor Nikonov provides ranking and logical structure in many parts of the dissertation. The introduction is also very specific and very informative. He also focuses on the practical implementation of Noopolitics in globalization and in the New World Order. You also believe that the struggle for global leadership will be developing further. And you cast question to the idea of non-expansion. In one of the chapters, you do not write in detail about the role of the mass media, and I believe you should have provided more rationale here. Moreover, I believe that you should use the concept of subjects, not the concept of actors, since they are different. I would like to say that the Internet media is a more relevant term rather than the mass media in general. Page 90. This is so because the mass media is a very broad term. Sometimes it is difficult to provide the necessary information, without making use of the social networks. But in general, the dissertation complies with the major requirements set forth in Order 6821/1 as of the 1st of September 2016, and Professor Sergey Nikonov can be awarded the academic degree of the Doctor of Political Sciences. The dissertation is also within the scope of the scientific specialty 100110 journalism. The floor is given to Professor Tsvetova. Dear colleagues, I would like to focus on one positive aspect here. I really like the comparative aspect of the dissertation. Therefore, I believe that the linguistic part of the dissertation is really valuable. I believe this is so that what is becoming more and more dominant in the mass media is the visual science systems. Therefore, I believe that the linguistic aspect of your dissertation is really important. Now, I would like to focus on the debatable part of my review. When I was reading the dissertation for the first time, I had my doubts because I believe that probably the definition provided by Bachkarova is not relevant here. So I believe that the concept can be described in different ways, using frames, scripts, and so on. But Professor Nikonov was able to use this definition, and I believe that this is instrumental for his research. However, I cannot say that this is the only possible approach, and you can continue research in this area. The attributive agenda was really important for me to read. This chapter deals with the linguistic analysis. There, the degree seeker analyzes specific linguistic units used in different texts. He draws upon the methods provided by Professor Borisovich. He describes metaphors as the main mark of media framing. He also focuses on syntaxes and different frames. And I believe that this chapter was really interesting. I would like to ask you about the use of the noun aggression. I believe you could have described it as a field with aggression in the center and with the subjective information on the periphery of the field. In this case, the research paper contained more rationale. You also speak about different syntactic aspects of the text. You provide empiric material for your ideas as well. And number 3, I believe you should have included some conclusions about the use after you write about precedents, manipulative techniques, use the phenomenon of precedent. I like the linguistic material that you provide in the dissertation, but I believe you should have given the analytical interpretation of the examples, of the linguistic examples that you provide. And the last item is not a critical remark, it's rather a regret. You draw upon the works of Chudinov, Baranov, Karaulov, and different other experts in linguistics. However, there are research papers which are relevant to a dissertation, and they are written by my colleagues. Unfortunately, you do not draw upon their work. All the critical remarks are debatable, and they do not change the overall positive assessment of the dissertation. I believe that the positive aspects of the dissertation allow us to say that the dissertation by Sergey Nikonov complies with the major requirements. It is an independent research work. It employs different methods, theories, and also provides empirical data. Therefore, it is within the scope of the scientific specialty 10.01.10 journalism, and the dissertation complies with the major requirements set forth in the relevant order of St. Petersburg State University, and Professor Sergey Nikonov can be awarded the academic degree of the Doctor of Political Sciences. The specialty is 10.01.10 journalism. The dissertation is compliant with Section 11 of the above-mentioned order. Thank you very much. The floor is given to our international colleague, Professor Sergey Nikonov, Doctor of Political Sciences. We are very glad to have you. This is my debut, so please don't be strict to me. Unfortunately, there's not much to talk about, and our critical remarks are very similar. However, I would like to say that this dissertation is very interesting and it is also complex at the same time. This is both due to the development of information technology and to the changes of the communication. I believe that the dissertation also contains empirical base. It focuses on different specific materials. It also deals with security, with information security, and it proves that the analysis of the dissertation, the analysis in the dissertation is credible. The dissertation also contains a detailed research and analysis of the topic in question. However, I would like you to clarify some points, and I would like to focus on some debatable issues. I would like you to comment on your statement. No politics is important for forming international opinion, and it can be used for global governance. However, this statement does not provide any argumentation. You do not provide any argumentation for this statement in the dissertation. Moreover, I believe you should tell me more detail about the framework of Nonpolitics, about scripts and different other elements. A few words about the role of the media in the world order, in the new world order. Does the mass media create the new world order, or does it predict and have an influence on the world order? The dissertation does not provide a clear answer to this question, and I would like you to give a clear answer to this question. In other words, is the mass media the fourth estate, or is it a means that can be used by the authorities?
Автором дефиниции «Noopolitics» делается упор на формирование общественности через СМИ.
The definition of the Noopolitics include a negative or a positive assessment of the foreign policies. However, I believe that the new media create an attitude to the state itself and not to the policy. They either create or hamper the creation of its positive image. I would like to ask you the following question. Why do you talk about the attitude to the state's internal and foreign policy? You provide a classification of the new media. However, you do not provide classification according to the information, although you mention the importance of this criterion. The internet mass media are important when describing international events. So please comment on the issue here. I believe that the comments I have made do not change the overall positive assessment of the dissertation. The dissertation by Sergey Nikonov, Noopolitics and the Communication Process of Foreign Policy Activities of States, complies with the major requirements set forth in St. Petersburg State University, and Professor Sergey Nikonov can be awarded the academic degree of the Doctor of Political Science. The scientific specialty is 10.01.10 Journalism. The dissertation is compliant with Section 11 of the above-mentioned order. Thank you very much. We were glad to hear you and to see you. Now I will read out my review. I believe that the dissertation makes a contribution to the theory of political journalism and to the different other theories. This dissertation is a complete work which draws upon a number of theoretical papers. It contains empirical analysis and also contains elements of novelty. I believe that my overall assessment of the dissertation is positive. However, it has some drawbacks. I would like to ask you about the category of Nonpolitics. After reading the dissertation, I have a feeling that the degree seeker cannot provide a specific definition of Nonpolitics, because Nonpolitics is described differently on different pages. Nonpolitics is a concept. Nonpolitics is a strategy. Nonpolitics is a social attitude to information, or it's a Trojan horse. So I believe that the author does not provide a specific definition of the main category. Here I quote, "Nonpolitics helps us to provide or to create a positive or a negative attitude to international policy, to foreign policy." I believe that this definition is debatable. You write about the concept of Nonpolitics. The term Nonpolitics is used in philosophy, in linguistics, and in different other sciences. Different reference books provide different definitions of the concept. Therefore, the definition of the concept that you use does not fall in any category, in the philosophical category, in the psychological category, or in any other common category. So I would like you to comment here. Nonpolitics, is it politics or not? On the one hand, it is politics, but on the other hand, it is not politics, it is actions. So what is the object of Nonpolitics? I would like you to comment on this issue as well. So you do not have a link between political practices, political techniques, and so on. What are the ontological aspects of Nonpolitics? You also focus on the international agenda, and I believe this is debatable. Can we apply Nonpolitics in internal policy? Well, I believe it's possible. In the introduction, you write that you use different linguistic methods and different methods of the communication theory. I believe these methods are quite complex. I believe you should have provided an explanation of why you used the above-mentioned methods in your dissertation. You do not describe the idea behind choosing a specific method. Therefore, I have a number of methodological issues or questions. What statistical analysis did you use? What statistical instruments did you use? How did you assess the bias? What content analysis did you use? What were the inclusion criteria for the texts? I also have an idea. I also believe that you do not have a specific idea about the political defamation. At first, you write about the fact that political defamation spoils somebody's image or creates a negative image. However, further on, you provide a different explanation, a different description. You describe defamation as an attempt to provide fake information, or you describe defamation as a way of giving information. So I believe that you should have provided more explanations here. Moreover, I also doubt that you use the term "the new media" correctly. The new media is sort of outdated right now. There are no 100% classical media today because the newspapers always have online versions. Therefore, I don't think we should oppose classical media and the new media. And it is proved by the fact that you make references to quite outdated papers here, dating back to 2005, 2015. You also write down that your idea was to create specific sampling. You analyzed the Russian mass media, different types of mass media. I believe that you make reference to the mass media which do not position themselves as the new media. These are old media in the new package with their own principles, traditions, and readers. Therefore, I don't think that you should equal the internet media and the new media. Moreover, there are some assessment statements in the dissertation. I believe you shouldn't be so biased in the dissertation, or otherwise you should provide arguments or references. You write about the statement about the about the fact that President Putin and Angela Merkel stopped being friends at some time. And you also make some suppositions about this fact. I don't think that it is a good idea to include such statements. Basically, you write about one political leader blackmailing another one, and I don't think that such statements can be included in the dissertation. There are some technical drawbacks in the dissertation as well. However, all the critical remarks are debatable and do not change the overall positive assessment of the dissertation. The dissertation is quite novel and the topic is relevant. So the dissertation by Sergey Nikonov complies with the major requirements set forth in Order 6821/1 as of the 1st of September 2016. And Professor Sergey Nikonov can be awarded the academic degree of the Doctor of Political Sciences. The scientific specialty is 100110 journalism. Thank you. I give the floor to the degree seeker. Dear colleagues, thank you very much for your critical remarks and for your suggestions. I have read your critical remarks and I will make an attempt to answer. My dissertation is of interdisciplinary character. I divided the answers in two blocks, the linguistic block and the political block. I will start with linguistics, which is represented here by ladies. I would like to congratulate you on the spring holiday, and now I will focus on the questions. Well, it's spring now, and I believe that I have a very positive view about the future. The question was about the use of specific nouns. What forms media frames, words, connotated words or metaphors? There were also some discrepancies in the use of the metaphors, and there were also some questions about how I collected materials, and there were questions about the terms. I believe that the attributes are really important here. By attributes, I mean how we perceive the motivation or the reasons. It doesn't mean that the reasons are true. This is our perception of the reasons. And attribution is part of the social process. We are constantly trying to understand the motives and reasons of other people. In my research, I draw upon psychologists, papers written by psychologists, and tastes differ when it comes to the Noopolitical aspect of the use of associative field. I believe that perception of events is never collective. It is always done at an individual level. We must impact a specific individual, not the society itself, since the individual has the right to make political decisions. When it comes to aggression, we resort to it when we want to understand the why others demonstrate aggression. Similar syntactic structures are called syntactically parallel structures. My dissertation is similar to the monograph written together with my co-author. The monograph is called Nonpolitics and the Internet Mass Media. It contains a list of 300 texts for analysis. And my dissertation provides reference to this monograph. Probably I should have provided the monograph as a continuation. Well, when you are writing something, it seems to you that what you know is also known to other people. Well, I shouldn't have been so biased. Well, no, politics is a concept. In other words, it's an innovative idea. To interpret means to manipulate, to impose your own opinion. We wanted the issue to be debatable, and we wanted the concept of Noopolitics to become a theoretical framework. Now a few words about the metaphors. The use of metaphors of the disease, gastronomy and art in Russia today, the metaphors of war, way, expanse in Deutsche Welle, and the metaphors of physics, fire in the Voice of America were used to describe the Syrian crisis. Each mass media has its own linguistic means. They are probably targeting their readers. But I understand that I should have made references to the use of similar metaphors in other materials, not only in those that describe the Syrian crisis. Now a few words about the use of the term phenomenon. I use the term phenomenon in the cognitive sense. And moreover, I would like to say that the main purpose of the text is to create emotions. When it comes to media frames, I would like to refer to the work by Anatoly Chudinov, Russia in the Metaphorical Mirror. According to Chudinov, the dominant metaphorical model provides coherence of the message, increases its aesthetics and arguments, creates the emotional environment, provides intertextuality, and makes the readers come to specific conclusions. According to Chudinov, one frame can be described in different metaphors and vice versa. Different metaphors can be used within one frame. I understand that the approach here can be different, but I believe that media frames create metaphors. And we use a different terminology for media frame in political sciences. I believe that metaphors have a more manipulative power. I agree with the other critical remarks. And now about the political bloc. The biased description when describing globalization, critical remarks about the statements to be defended, critical remarks about Nonpolitics and its definition, some doubts about the fact that the mass media, net mass media and internet mass media are different terms. I agree with the members of the Dissertation Council in that biased statements can be different. In my dissertation, I had my own logic. There are many dissertations and papers about globalization. I make a reference to the paper by Professor Vinogradova. In her paper, she describes globalization, but she comes to the conclusion which is not in line with ideas presented in other papers. I believe that it proves that globalization has not been thoroughly researched. This is not really relevant for my dissertation. However, I couldn't avoid. I would have been remiss not to include this phenomenon in my dissertation. I made a number of presentations at conferences. I also published the research findings in different journals. And all my papers have been successfully peer-reviewed. Well, silentium videtur confesso, as we all know. Yes, I provide some biased opinion, and I have not been proven otherwise yet by my colleagues. I would like to say that my foreign colleagues have not come up with a specific definition of Nonpolitics as well. Well, Nonpolitics is a concept, and this is the innovative idea. When we have more ideas about Nonpolitics, I will revise my approach. But today, the approach to Nonpolitics is the way it is presented in the dissertation. At the same time, Professor Alenikov says, after reading the dissertation, it seems to me that the new media create an attitude to the state, not to the internal or foreign policy. Probably this is another definition of Nonpolitics. However, I'm talking about the state policies. State policies are driven and are formed by the so-called political elite. When it comes to the state, it is necessary to provide a definition of the state, and this has been a debatable issue since ancient Rome, since there is no universal definition of the state. I believe that not all states have established moral values. I started writing my work some time ago. My foreign counterparts describe Nonpolitics using this approach. If I make the scope of the research more narrow, then they will have the dominance. have already quoted their research paper, which is entitled "Whose History Will Win?" You also mentioned the necessity to write about political media metrics. I talked with Professor Igor Nikolaevchuk, and I make use of his research papers. Recently, he has been focusing on events in the Ukraine, but I focus on the Syrian crisis. And I did not find anything relevant in his papers. About the statements, as for the statements to be defended, I believe that they could be rewarded. And in my opinion, some of my conclusions clarify the statements to be defended. The chairperson of the dissertation board says this term, the new media, is becoming outdated and it is no longer used by researchers, since classical media are becoming internet media. I agree with this statement. However, this is what I had in mind. The mass media must be called internet media, but at this point we are using the term the new media. In China, the internet is being replaced by the quantum transmission of information. And there is no research about the quantum transmission of information yet. And the quantum era has begun. You also mentioned the use of the theory of nonlinear dynamics and the effects of post-truth. The use of the term post-truth is not quite common in our conferences. We sometimes use the term the marketers of post-truth. This allows us to devoid the term of ideology, and Nonpolitics includes the ideological aspect. Some questions were about the law, the legal and the sociological aspect. For example, one of the members of the Dissertation Council wrote, fake news and different similar ideas can be described as libel. According to the Russian law, a libel includes fake information and intention. If there is no foul play, then it is not libel. I am describing political defamation as a dissemination of truth information. For example, I cite the Guardian newspaper, but the information presented in the Guardian is not sometimes valid, since it's mass media content, not scientific research. It is not political defamation, since this information has not been proved. Political defamation is proved information, like toilet paper on the boot of the 45th President of the United States. It does not improve his image. However, if we have some pictures of Boris Yeltsin catching taxi in Washington do not exist. Therefore, it's disinformation. However, if we put our hands on such pictures, then it will become political defamation. I would like to thank the members of the dissertation board for your comments. They will give me an opportunity to write a paper. Thank you very much for your critical remarks. Is everybody satisfied with the answers? Thank you. Dear colleagues, I would like to ask the members of the audience if they would like to make presentations or make comments. Professor Lyudmila Gromova would like to make a presentation, to make a short presentation. She is the head of the Department of the History of Journalism. She is a professor of our university and a member of the Association of Journalists. Please show her on the screen. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Can you hear me? I'm very glad to hear you. I was watching the defense procedure. It's not a presentation since I work in another scope, but I have read the dissertation and I have read the reviews. I've been listening to you very attentively. I would like to make some comments and about the discussion that you've had today. Now, we world in an ever-changing world, and I believe that it's quite difficult to keep up with the pace. However, the topic of the dissertation is very relevant and very up-to-date, because right now we are in the process of the information war. You have mentioned the positive and the negative aspects of the dissertation. A lot has been said about the dissertation, and Professor Nikonov had an opportunity to answer the questions, and now he was given some food for thought. Probably he should revise his assessments, or probably he should draw upon some other resources. I believe he will continue with his work, and the degree seeker mentioned this at the end of his presentation. How real politics and no politics are going to develop in science and in real life is still not clear. However, I believe that we've had a very fruitful discussion here. We have been discussing a very interesting scientific issue, and this scientific issue is worth developing and is worth researching. And I agree with the members of the dissertation board. I believe the dissertation complies with the major requirements, and I hope you will continue your scientific research in this area. Thank you. Thank you very much. As far as I know, no one is willing to make comments about the dissertation.
Также по регламенту мы должны были сейчас согласить вопросы поступившие.
We're supposed to read out the questions that have been sent via email. We have not received any. Some of the members of the Dissertation Council are attending this session via video conferencing system. I would like to ask them and I would like to ask the others if they have any questions regarding the remote video conferencing system and about the work of the Dissertation Council with the use of the remote video conferencing system. There are no questions. So, according to the relevant regulations, I would like to start the voting process. Do you think we need a break to discuss the results of the procedure? Do we need a break? No. Do we need a break? The members of the dissertation board believe that we do not need a break. So I believe we can continue with the agenda, and we are starting the voting. I would like to remind you that each member of the Dissertation Council is to vote for or against conferring the academic degree of the Doctor of Political Sciences to Professor Sergey Nikonov. I will be asking each member of the dissertation audience in turns, and I would like you to express your opinion. So we're beginning the open voting on the issue of confirming the academic degree to Professor Sergey Nikonov, Scientific Speciality 100110 Journalism. The decision of the Dissertation Council is positive provided more than 50% of the Council members voted in favor. In conformity with Section 23 of the Order, Professor Blahin, how do you vote? I vote for conferring the academic degree. Professor Bykova, how do you vote? I vote for conferring the academic degree. The next member of the Dissertation Council, Professor Svetova, I vote for. Professor Akopov, how do you vote? I vote for. Professor Kaminska, how do you vote? I vote for. Professor Shevchenko, how do you vote? I vote for conferring the academic degree. Professor Lenikov, how do you vote? I vote for conferring the academic degree. Thank you. And I, Professor Gavra, also vote for conferring the academic degree. For conferring the academic degree of the Doctor of Political Sciences. So it's easy to count the votes. So, dear colleagues, dear members of the Dissertation Council, out of the 8 members of the Dissertation Board, 8 people voted for, nobody voted against or abstained from voting. So, Professor Sergey Nikonov is awarded the academic degree of the Doctor of Political Science, Scientific Specialty 100110 Journalism. Some members of the Dissertation Council are attending the session via video conferencing system. Do you have any questions about the procedure? Do you have any questions? Nobody has any questions? Do other members of the Dissertation Council have any questions? No, everything is okay. The floor is given to Professor Sergey Nikonov, Doctor of Political Sciences. Good afternoon again. Thank you very much. I would like to thank the university, and I would like to thank those who have come to the dissertation session. I would like to express my gratitude to the university. When I first came to the university, little did I suspect that I would be conducting scientific research. And I would like to devote this dissertation to the first professor of St. Petersburg State University, who gave me a negative grade. It's Professor Alexei Pashkov, Doctor of Law. I didn't get the credit for his subject, and he told me, "You should study, please go and study," and this is what I've been doing all this time. Thank you for participating in the Dissertation Council. On behalf of the members of the Dissertation Board and on behalf of the members of the audience, I would like to congratulate you on being awarded the academic degree of the Doctor of Political Science. And now let us give Professor Nikonov a round of applause. However, at first, I would like to thank the members of the Dissertation Council and those who have come to the procedure. It is great that all members of the Dissertation Council are participating. I would like to thank our friends and our colleagues who are attending this session via video conferencing system. Dear colleagues, it is great that the scientific community is still able to come together and to make different decisions. Doctoral dissertation writing, defending a doctoral dissertation is always a great event. And St. Petersburg University has brought together experts from all over Russia, from across the world. And it is very important that we all have been able to read and assess the dissertation. And I would like to thank everyone who helped the Dissertation Council and Professor Nikonov. I would like to thank the technical personnel. I would like to thank the others. It means that right now we have experience in events that are held online. This year was a very challenging one, but this year also provided a new momentum in our work. Now please switch off the broadcast.